Well, here we are again, Anne and I, doing our little mad thing for you guys. I promised you Cornish pasty video last winter, I think. So I thought better get on with it before this winter's actually all done. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do two videos. Well, at least Anne's going to do two videos. Oh, by the way, say hello, Anne.
Hello.
Oh, excellent. Oh, I feel more familiar now. Right. I'm going to do two videos. One showing you how to make the pastry. It's a fabulous recipe for doing anything. For the pasties, it's a savoury, but if you actually take a tablespoon of the flour away and put icing sugar into it, it's sweet. If you did it with some, what's it called? Custard powder, that gives it a nice flavour. You can actually take some of the flour and put cheese in it. You can put curry powder in it. You can put herbs in it. So it's really a very useful pastry to have. And it's dead simple to make. And you don't even need a recipe for this pastry because it's so easy to remember. Okay, so the pasties that I've got in the oven, I'll let you see them, shall I? If you can get down here, Anne, without burning yourself. There they are.
Oh, yum.
They're coming along. That's actually our lunch. Because Marion will be here soon. So, I made yesterday a pound of pastry to do these. But today I'll just demonstrate a half mix because I don't need to do any more than that. But when I say to you that to make 4 pasties that size is 1 pound of pastry, it's not 1 pound of pastry. It's actually pastry made with 1 pound of flour. Just thought I'd let you know that, just in case you ever need to know. Okay. So we've got here 250 grams of plain flour. If you're in South Africa, it's cake flour. If you're in America, it's all-purpose flour, so whatever it is. It's plain flour with just a quarter teaspoonful of salt. And this is how I make shortcrust pastry. It happens today that I've actually got margarine, good old stalk, and I've got a little bit of lard. Traditionally, in the old days, it would have been all lard or a mixture of butter and lard, but I'm actually quite happy to use margarine for making pastry. Well, this pastry anyway. I've got another recipe I do, but that's all done with butter. But this is actually how I do shortcrust. You'll see no rings. Here they are. Here's my rings. If you've got stones in them, they'll get all clogged when you make pastry. And if you don't have stones in them, you get bacteria underneath. So please, it's always wise to take your rings out, off and wash your hands. Okay, so this is what I do. Non-PC, but by the way I do it. All right, I've got a grater, as you can see, on coarse grate. I've taken this out of the fridge. Keep it cold in the fridge. Cover it with flour. Because what you don't want is your hand melting the fats. So you want to hold it as lightly as you can and just push it through. So we'll just get on with the grating then. And I'll just keep on turning it and just gently pushing it and then squashing it to get it all in. And there's the lard. The lard actually makes it quite light and crispy, but I don't like too much of that because it makes it a bit too fatty. If you're wondering, by the way, I'm no qualified to do this than anybody else. I just was married to a Cornishman. And actually, while I'm grating, I'll just tell you a little story. When we met, I had my very first cookery book was one by Marjorie Proops, and you have to be a Brit and my age to know who that was. And this recipe book was all done by various personalities of the day. And there was a Cornish pasty recipe. So I thought, oh, marvellous, I'm going to surprise him. I'll make him a pasty. And we were in Cornwall, actually, because he was in the RAF St Morgan at the time. So I made him this pasty, and he said, oh, that was absolutely brilliant. Better than my mother ever makes. Well, he lied. Wasn't anything like what his mother made. It was not even close. But there you are. He was very young love and all that jazz. Sorry, excuse me, Anne. I need to put that out of the way. Okay, so here we are. This is now all grated. Now, when you're making pastry, just try and remember that you're making pastry and you're not making concrete. You don't want it to get too warm with your hot hands. So do it lightly. Pick it up and try and aerate it and just squeeze it through your fingers like that. Push like that. And do that and just rub those fats actually into the flour. And it doesn't take long. And you see, just squeeze and let it fall. I'm not mashing at it until it all goes. I'm just letting it fall and picking it up again. And this literally takes seconds. I'm nearly done. I'm just getting all the big lumps out. You can do it twice. You know, you can go really mad and do it twice, 3 times possibly. But I normally tend to do it just once or twice anyway. And there we are. That's pretty much that now coated. What you're doing is you're coating the flour grains with fat. Okay, so there we are. That's it, done. Now, you don't need a recipe. Sorry, I need to wash my hands. You don't need a recipe for this because it's so easy to make pastry. It depends on how much pastry you want to make. This is 250 grams of flour. You need half of that weight in butter or fat of some sort. I've got. Thank you, Anne. How's it gone? Oh, good. Okay, so we want half of it. So whatever the weight of the flour is, you want half that weight in your fat. So that's easy to remember. So if you're making a 1 pound of pastry, you need 454 grams actually, but you can round it down to 450. So you need obviously 225 grams of margarine or fat of some sort. To that, you need 8 fluid ounces of cold water. And if you put a little squeeze of lemon juice into that, it will make the pastry have a nice crisper finish. So I have now got 4 fluid ounces of water because I'm doing it a half mix. This will vary. It depends on your flour very much on how much water it will absorb. What you don't want is it to be too wet and you don't want it too soft. It's holding quite a weight of vegetables. So you want it to be fairly firm. So 4 fluid ounces for our British plain flour works fine. You might need a little bit more. And I've got a feeling I read somewhere that the altitude you live in also affects things. So bear all that in mind. You'll know yourself what your own flour will do. So this is 4 fluid ounces. I'm just going to bung it straight in because I know it's enough. And you use a table knife that's got a rounded edge. And you just do that. I mean, I don't know why anybody ever buys shortcrust pastry. It's just so easy to make. I mean, I'm blethering on and taking twice as long. It should have been made half an hour ago. Okay, so there we are. What I'm doing here is I'm actually getting the dry flour off the bottom and letting the water kind of go through all of it. Can you see it's a little bit dry here and there? Just squeeze it down a bit more. All right, now I'm going to get my fingers in the flour bag because you want your hands dry, and I'm just going to gather it up. Now you see there's a lot of dry bits. I am not going to add more water because I know that actually will hold together if I just keep on pushing it down. And you see I'm using my fingertips. I'm trying not to get too much of my hot hand on the pastry. I want it to just blend in together with all that. And we're nearly done. So then your bowl will come out actually fairly clear. Done. That probably, if I hadn't been talking to you, it probably would have taken me, 4 or 5 minutes to do. Okay, now that has to rest, which is why I made the pastry yesterday, because the gluten needs to relax, so I put it in the fridge to overnight, just rest. But that is actually the pastry now done. What can I say? Easy peasy. Give it a go. Nothing to be worried about. Okay, thank you, Anne.